I slipped away quietly after discovering my wife's betrayal 3.5 years into our marriage. A year later, my ex-wife, whom I'd completely cut off, tracked me down. After learning of her infidelity, I'd relocated to a serene mountainside cabin, craving solitude and a fresh start. Hey folks, before I dive into this tale, please hit that like button and follow if you enjoy real-life stories like this. I'm not sure why I feel compelled to share this now, but maybe it'll strike a chord with someone out there. I've moved on, left the pain behind, and I'm in a better place. Back in February 2018, after 3.5 years of marriage, I uncovered my wife's affair. My job required occasional travel for projects, but I could work from home when I wasn't on the road. My wife Emily was a high-powered marketing director at a tech firm earning a hefty salary. Our marriage had hit some rough patches. Her long hours and my trips created tension, but I thought we were solid, built on love and trust. 5 years earlier, I met Emily at a friend's backyard cookout. Sparks flew instantly. Our conversations were electric, her wit and charm pulling me in, while she seemed to like my laid-back, outdoorsy vibe. We were smitten within weeks, our dates filled with passion and laughter. After 18 months of dating, we got married and settled into a cozy apartment, saving up for a dream home. But 3 years into our marriage, things shifted. I still loved her deeply, but Emily started picking fights over small stuff, leaving dishes in the sink or my habit of leaving boots by the door. When I mentioned her late nights at work or frequent team happy hours, she'd snap, saying her career demanded it, and my travel gave me no right to complain. I offered to cut back on my trips, but our arguments spiraled, resolving nothing. Looking back, I was oblivious to the red flags. Our intimacy faded, and her constant rejection stung. I chalked it up to her demanding job, thinking she was just exhausted. There were no obvious signs of cheating, no sneaky texts or late-night calls I could pinpoint. She turned our spare room into an office, spending hours there with the door closed. By fall 2017, her work events ramped up, from 1 night a week to 3 or 4. She'd come home late, claiming client dinners or team meetings. I'm not the jealous type, but I knew she worked closely with sharp-dressed executives. I wondered if she was keeping things professional, but she insisted her career was her only focus. The first real clue hit me like a punch a month before everything unraveled. She stopped at a grocery store on her way home, and as I helped unload bags, I spotted a lacy scarf under the passenger seat of her car, hers from a boutique she adored. My stomach churned. I knew she'd sometimes toss her scarf aside playfully when we were dating, and the sight of it there made my heart race. I stayed quiet, carrying the bags inside, barely holding it together when she asked if I was okay, noting I looked shaken. I brushed it off, but that night I couldn't sleep, replaying every missed sign. The scarf was my only proof, but it was enough to ignite doubt. Determined to shake off the suspicion, I planned a romantic evening, steak dinner, candles, her favorite wine, the works. But when Emily got home, she apologized, saying she had to meet colleagues at a downtown bar. She offered to eat quickly after a shower. My heart sank, but I stayed silent, anger simmering. While she showered, I made a snap decision. I slipped my old work phone into her car's backseat, planning to track it with my personal phone. Then I cleared the table, tossing the food and flowers in frustration. When she came out looking stunning as always, she suggested we eat. I told her to go have fun with her friends. She asked if I was upset, and I admitted I was hurt. She never had time for me anymore. She rolled her eyes, called me dramatic, and told me to stop acting like a kid. I said I just wanted one night together. She smirked and stormed out. Once she left, I tracked the phone. She stopped at a bar 20 minutes away, a spot she often mentioned. I drove there, parked across the street, and watched her car, feeling like a stranger in my own skin but desperate for answers. An hour later, she walked out with a tall guy in a suit, one of her company's higher-ups, I was sure. He pulled her clothes, kissed her, and my world shattered. My hands shook, my stomach knotted. They got into his car and drove to a nearby hotel. I followed, parking just outside as they walked in, hand, laughing. That was it. I pounded my steering wheel, rage and hurt colliding. I don't know if I zoned out or just lost myself, but I drove out of the city, tears burning my eyes. 30 miles out, I stopped at a small roadside bar and ordered a whiskey. The bartender, a kind older woman, saw my face and said I looked like I'd been through hell. "Something like that," I muttered. A guy next to me, Tom, started chatting. I wasn't in the mood, but his easygoing nature broke through. I spilled everything, my wife's affair, my broken trust. Tom listened, then shared he'd been through something similar years ago. "Life's funny like that," he said. You're at a crossroads. You decide where it goes from here. His words hit hard, pulling me out of my fog. I've always been practical, and he was right. I had to take control. Tom mentioned he had a fixer-upper camper on his land, a quiet spot in the mountains. It's not fancy, but it's solid. You could park it on my property, keep an eye on things for me, cheap deal if you want it. The bartender overheard and nodded. If I could have escaped my ex like that, I'd have been gone in a heartbeat. It felt like a sign. I told Tom I'd think about it, and we swapped numbers. That night, clarity started to creep in. I knew I couldn't stay with Emily. Cheating was a deal-breaker. When I got home, she was already there, asking where I'd been. I turned it around. Where were you? Just drinks with the team, she said, casual as ever. I looked her in the eye and asked, Are you cheating? She flinched but denied it, demanding to know why I'd ask. I mentioned hearing rumors about her and a coworker, keeping it vague. She called me paranoid, accused me of drinking too much, and stormed off to bed. I slept on the couch, her lies replaying in my head, the image of her with that guy seared into my mind. Tom's camper became my lifeline. A few days later, I met him at his property, an open, peaceful spot with trails and a small cabin nearby. The camper was basic but functional, like something from a road trip adventure. He sold it to me for next to nothing and offered to move it to his land. Over the next few weeks, I tried to get Emily to come clean, but she doubled down, gaslighting me with denials. Her lies were almost comical in their boldness. I regretted not snapping a photo of her with the guy, but what I'd seen was enough. The betrayal wore me down, and I decided to leave. While Emily was at work, I packed my clothes, laptop, and essentials, moving them to the camper bit by bit. It felt like reclaiming my life. Emily seemed sweeter during those weeks, but it was too late. Her late nights continued. One evening, as she left for another work event, I said I was meeting friends. She asked where, and I echoed her excuse. Just shop talk, you wouldn't like it. She frowned but left. I spent the evening with Tom and his buddies, their warmth easing my pain. I also cut back on drinking, determined not to spiral. When Emily announced a week-long work trip with her executive team, I saw my chance. I looked at her and said, Have fun with your boyfriend. It slipped out, sparking a huge fight. Tom had warned me not to obsess over her affair partner's identity. The betrayal was hers, not his. He was right. Her trip gave me the window to leave for good. I took only my personal stuff, leaving behind furniture and shared items. On the kitchen counter, I left a note. Hope he was worth it, with my wedding ring on top. Walking away felt like shedding chains. The mountain air in my new camper home was crisp, healing. I started hiking again, feeling alive. Emily's texts came in from her trip, casual updates about dinners, then questions about where I was. I ignored them. When she returned, her calls and messages piled up, followed by her mom's attempts to reach me. I stayed silent. Her texts grew frantic. We need to talk, there's no affair. Then came an apology. I got too close to someone at work, it was a mistake. Mistake made my blood boil. Affairs don't last months by accident. I didn't respond. Her messages turned bitter. You're running away. Come home and face this. I let them slide off me and eventually changed my number. Months later, Emily emailed about a divorce. I replied, fine by me. She begged to meet, offering an uncontested divorce if I'd talk. I agreed to the divorce but kept my distance. The process was quick and I was free without seeing her again. She seemed to want closure more than I did. For a while, memories, a song, a scent, stung, but they faded. A year later, I met a great woman, Sarah, while hiking near my camper. She's adventurous, calls me her mountain guy, and loves my simple life. I'm not rushing into anything, but I'm open to love again. The camper life suits me. I've got no plans to leave. Then, last weekend, Emily showed up. I was at a coffee shop in a nearby town, working on some documents when I heard her call my name. She was across the street, waving like we were old friends. I froze as she ran over, arms out for a hug. I stopped her, hands up. She looked crushed but said she'd been searching for me, having heard I'd moved nearby. She asked to talk. Against my better judgment, I agreed to a quick chat on a bench, refusing her request to see my place. She apologized, saying the affair cost her dearly. Her boss found out. She resigned under pressure, and her affair partner, who was engaged, got transferred after she told his fiancé. She cried, saying she'd planned to confess but drank to numb the guilt. She wanted to start over despite our divorce. I was blunt. You don't get to waltz back in. You broke us. I saw you with him at that hotel. My voice cracked with anger. She sobbed, begging for dinner to talk more. I refused, but when she broke down hyperventilating, I gave her a brief hug to calm her. I asked how she found me. She'd run into a mutual friend who let slip I was in the area. Emily had been visiting town, hoping to spot me. We ended up at a patio restaurant, keeping it civil. She swore she hadn't dated since I left and wanted me back. I refused to share my number, knowing she'd blow up my phone. She cried but agreed to email about visiting again. I asked if she'd have forgiven me for cheating. She hesitated, saying maybe with therapy and time. I told her maybe in a decade. She vowed to wait, but I wasn't swayed. Her words stuck with me, annoying me for days. I posted my story online, but it kept getting flagged. In a recent email, Emily poured her heart out, begging to visit again. I shut it down. "I'm done. I don't trust you. You made your choice." She admitted she'd taken a job out of state, hoping I'd move with her. I had a work trip planned, so I dodged her final attempt to meet. She's leaving soon, and I'm relieved. She'll move on, maybe hurt someone else. At 32, I'm content with my quiet life, open to new connections but firm on leaving the past behind. To anyone reading, keep moving forward. Let go of the hurt and build something new. You've got this.